George Orwell's 1984 is one of the darkest and most cautionary novels of the 20th century, a story about a world where freedom, truth, and even human thought itself are annihilated. We are thrown into a society ruled by the party and its charismatic yet terrifying leader, Big Brother. In this world, every movement is watched, every word must be controlled, and even harboring independent thoughts is a crime, known as thought crime. The protagonist, Winston Smith, works at the Ministry of Truth, a place whose name is deeply ironic. His job is to constantly rewrite history, altering old newspapers and documents so that the past always aligns with the party's current version of reality. Whenever the party decides that truth has changed, Winston and his colleagues must erase any evidence to the contrary. This is the world of the party's infamous slogans. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. From the beginning, Winston harbors a quiet doubt about the system. He lives in fear of the telescreens, devices that both broadcast propaganda and spy on citizens. But inside, he senses that something is terribly wrong. Everything changes when Winston meets Julia. Outwardly, she appears obedient and apathetic, but secretly she is rebellious and defiant. Together they begin a forbidden love affair. In a society where love itself is outlawed, their relationship becomes an act of resistance. For the first time, Winston experiences passion, freedom, and hope. But hope in Orwell's world is short-lived. Winston and Julia believe they have found allies in an underground resistance, but this brotherhood turns out to be a trap. Here enters the enigmatic figure of O'Brien, a man who initially seems like a friend, a fellow conspirator against the party. In reality, he is one of its most loyal servants. His role is deception and betrayal, gaining Winston's trust only to break him completely. Winston and Julia are arrested and taken to the Ministry of Love, a place of relentless torture and brainwashing. The goal is not simply to extract confessions or punish. The goal is to reshape the human soul, to make even inner rebellion impossible. The climax of the novel comes in the infamous Room 101, where prisoners are confronted with their worst fears. For Winston, this is a cage of ravenous rats. In a moment of utter terror, he betrays Julia, begging the party to subject her to the torture instead. With this betrayal, the last remnant of his humanity collapses. The novel ends on a chilling note. Winston sits alone in a cafe, listening to the party's propaganda, his spirit broken. He no longer questions, no longer resists. Instead, he whispers to himself, he loved Big Brother. The party has achieved its ultimate victory, not just over his body, but over his mind and soul. Themes and message. The central warning of 1984 is the danger of absolute power, totalitarian control, and the destruction of truth itself. Orwell shows us that the greatest threat is not imprisonment or torture, but the rewriting of reality, the erasure of memory, and the corruption of language. When truth is destroyed, freedom dies with it. Love, individuality, and human connection are depicted as the last refuges of resistance, but even these can be crushed under authoritarian power. The novel underscores the power of language. Through newspeak, the party doesn't just censor words, it makes free thought itself impossible. 1984 is not just a vision of the future. It is a mirror held up to every generation, warning us that liberty and truth are fragile, and that vigilance is the only safeguard against tyranny.